Good morning. This is Kimberly, the bookmobile lady here at Yin Yang Farm, and I wanted to do a book review with you about a really great resource book that I've been reading. It's about homesteading. I wanted to do this because many people, myself included, have recently realized that, hey, the world as we know it is quickly crumbling. Our government infrastructure as well as chain supplies are falling apart, and we as individuals must step up and take action to protect ourselves and our families. 2020 was my wake-up call. So as an individual, I began to seek out resources, and as the bookmobile lady at our local public library, I noticed that we had very few books that covered the necessary skills needed to run a functioning homestead. So I began seeking out books for the library that taught canning and ways to grow and store food, books that taught about animal husbandry, beekeeping, foraging for food, building a solar grid, ham radio use, as well as seeking out good detailed miscellaneous home repair books that teach you how to fix a vast array of things around your homes, like glass top stove, installing a toilet, fixing your roof, pipes and stuff like that. Anything that you would need to know how to do yourself. And when it came to so I wrote all this down. I went and looked for the books, and when I placed the order, I was thrilled that now our local library was covering these new topics. And so I would really love for everyone to come and try and check them out. As always, some books seem to outshine others. One such book, The Doable Off-Grid Homestead, which is this book here, by Stewart and Shannon. They're a husband and wife team. And this book really covers everything you need to know to be able to be self-sustaining. One of the nice parts about this book is that you are following this young couple as they begin their journey in life. With 2 acres and 2 young children, their story is endearing, but you'll really see that you can do this. What I like is that they give so many details that you will feel that you can, even though you've never worked with power tools, you'll feel that you can do this. They provide with each project. They provide a list of tools and materials and step-by-step instructions explaining such simple terms, in very simple terms, and whether you've used power tools or not, you'll feel like you can do this. They also build a biosand water filtration system. They explain how their gravity-fed household water supply works, so you can build yours with less error and difficulty. They also provide details on how to build a earth bag root cellar and lots of wonderful color photos they provide. Let me just show you some of the stuff. I mean, it starts off, we had purchased 2 acres in the middle of Texas and had a dream in mind. It really didn't seem that outlandish to simply want to live as former generations had, to follow the old paths wherein I need my glasses. I'm sorry. Having problems with my glasses here. They're fogged up on top of that. But anyway, it says we had purchased 2 acres in the middle of Texas and had a dream in mind. It really didn't seem that outlandish to simply want to live as former generations had, to follow the old paths wherein is the good way, and walk therein. So we started with 2 acres we purchased outright. We didn't have a lot of money, but we didn't want a bunch of debt either. A few years in, we realized we needed to expand if we were to have a pasture, so we purchased 3 acres from our friend and neighbor on a monthly payment. It was debt, to be sure, but The short-term nature of it, coupled with our need to feed a family of 7, made it something we were willing to work with. It also, I wanted to show you they show you, of course, this is for their solar hookups. Let's see. Oh, this is where they do their what is it? The earthen cellar, for food storage, the root cellar. And so, I mean, there's lots of wonderful details that they show. So, I mean, you don't feel like you're out on your own. This is about their gravity-fed water supply. And so, I mean, there's so much here. So, it's just a whole lot of information. And it's just really sweet, and it's even got stuff that I just really didn't even think of. So they provide details on how to build the earth bag root cellar. Lots of wonderful photos. They do a barrel root cellar with 55-gallon drum. They cover barbed wire fencing for your livestock. I really love how they explained and how they created their solar energy grid, and go through the effort of trying to simplify the terminology for the readers. Let me look over here on page 48. I wanted to show you an example of, I mean, volts. Think of volts as of how high the pressure is in your electrical system. Amps. Think of amps as how much volume is moving through the electrical system. Watts. The unit of measure electrical power. Watts equals volts times amps. And then WH is watt hours, the amount of watts used in an hour. And then kWh is kilowatts per hour, is equivalent to 1,000 watts, 1,000 watt hours. So, and it just goes on and on. It explains it all in great detail. So I think this is an awesome book. Check it out at your local library. You'll probably want to have it at home in your own personal library, honestly, because, I mean, the information that they have is just, it's really great. They show, let's see, they show the solar charge controllers, which is one of the things that is the most efficient, which is the most efficient type, how to figure out how many solar panels and storage batteries you need. They even cover simple power systems without batteries, because some things you only need during the daytime, so you don't need to have, you know, you might not need to have the solar panels or the power to the item at night. So you may just need a small solar panel to something. Something that really surprised me was how they explained how to convert a chest freezer into a refrigerator that could provide a great deal more storage space, which could be handy for a family on a budget and would possibly be more efficient than a stand-up refrigerator, since a stand-up refrigerator easily dumps its cool air onto the floor when the door is opened. The book covers gardening, soil enrichment, water diverting, and gardening as well. They discuss their experience with back to Eden wood chip gardening and mulching with hay and manure, and the use of the manure, tea barrel, and biochar. They cover how they handled frosts and freezes. And so they cover out how they handled the cold weather, and they do preserving their seeds for their garden, and building their food forests and fruit trees and shrubs. They offer many creative animal husbandry techniques. They make caring for so many. Their husbandry techniques is what it makes it easier for and more efficient to care for a lot of animals. And the neat thing is that it makes it's also healthier for the animals. So it's not just you're just cutting back on your care for them. The last chapter of the book covers the off-grid home. Let me read you the first page of that last chapter, because I just really thought it was neat. If Mr. Rooster will let me. Let's see here. A home is so much more than a collection of systems working together to maintain life. It is shelter, both physical and metaphorically. It houses memories, a child's laughter, the smell of bread baking, the sense of everyone is right where they ought to be. So, I mean, that just gets, knowing that you feel that you are where you ought to be, and every family member should feel that way. Once we left the washing machine running water and light switches behind, we had to figure out how we would replace these needs in a way that didn't require a lot of resources. One aspect of doing things sustainably is being able to maintain that level of effort over and over for years to come. So after years of trial and error, we finally settled on the method that meets our everyday needs sustainably, both in resources and time. That we eventually learned is that we don't need washing machines, air conditioning, running water, or grid electricity. I think we could live without solar too if push came to shove, but there is a process of getting to a place where it is no longer feels as though you miss them. Like most everything else with homesteading, the first step is to evaluate how things need to be done for going forward. In other words, do not try to cram how you used to live on grid into an off-grid, no running water, no electricity, no temperature control, world you now inhabit. It doesn't fit, and you will make yourself miserable trying to get there. So I think that's important to remember. It's not going to be the same, but it's going to be a wonderful adventure. Do you really need all those clothes to wash? Are you making too many dishes with your elaborate meals? Why are you the only one doing all the laundry when your children are perfectly capable and even more than willing to hang a load on the line? These are all questions I eventually ran up against as I transitioned from using all the modern conveniences to living in an off-grid world. I now had to be more deliberate and thoughtful about how to accomplish those most needful tasks of the everyday. Once we established some of these systems, or rather stumbled on them, I couldn't quite believe how much more smoothly our days could run. Finding a rhythm and creating systems, these are the things that helped us put down the roots in this off-grid life. And it's just writing like that just makes learning the different parts even easier, in my opinion, because it's not just dry information. They cover cooking and the rocket stove, a simple rocket stove, and it goes on and on. There's loads of information in this book. Doing the laundry off-grid with towels and large blankets without injuring yourself, bathing in a gravity-fed shower, keeping it cool in the summertime and warm in the winter, how to have lighting in the night, as well as fermenting, pickling, canning both vegetables and meats, and dehydrating and making cheeses, as well as a root cellar. How to explain it explains how to store your stuff in the root cellar. And they even have a bicycle powered grain mill. This book is jam-packed with information. Without including this book's index, I'm amazed that the information is crammed into just 187 pages. The authors are hardworking, creative individuals. Let me share with you, here's some canning information, canning a whole chicken. Here's a picture of the authors. Don't they look sweet? It says Stewart and Shannon Stronger are the authors of the blog Nourishing Days. Stewart has spent much of the past 6 years working as a web developer while building their off-grid homestead. Shannon is the author of the cookbooks Traditional Fermenting Foods and 100% Rye, and spends most of her time in the garden, at the homeschool table, and experimenting and preserving in the kitchen. Together, Stewart and Shannon are mom and daddy to 5 children. Stewart's of nearly 5 acres that belong to the Lord and tends the chickens, the animals, and soil. Forever students, they wish to encourage those working towards a simpler life while conveying the joys, challenges, and fulfillment they have experienced during the 6 years they have spent as attempted homesteaders. The Strongers live with their children and ever-growing number of barnyard animals on a 5-acre off-grid homestead in central Texas. And so I just thought this was a wonderful resource that people should check out. And so I just hope you will. And thank you again for tuning in to my channel. I hope you'll subscribe and hit the thumbs up button. Thanks for listening. Talk with y'all later. Bye.